Welcome back to From the Stache, where reality and podcast collide within the music industry. With your host, James Davis McAllister. From the Stache Podcast.
Welcome back to the From the Stache Podcast. I'm your host, James Davis McAllister, and today I have with me Jeff Hatrix, better known as Jeffrey Nothing from the band Mushroomhead. But today, he's here to talk about his new projects, past things, and how he's doing now. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. Real quick, for the fans and the people that know me, they know that how much we won't fangirl a lot here, but how much I've looked up to you throughout my career of being a vocalist, just a musician and stuff in general. So this to me is, that's an honor to have you. I appreciate your time, and this is surreal. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it going with how I recently kind of rediscovered you and your newer stuff with Jeffrey Nothing, the band, was on YouTube. Your sermon or your testimony that you had given at a church, was that in Cleveland, I do believe?
It's a suburb. It's about 20 minutes out.
Okay. I saw that, so I went and checked, what you're doing. You're making new music. Well, without me saying any more, how did that come about? You and explain to the fans a little bit, you're reuniting with Christ and what that was all about.
Yeah, I've been an agnostic for a long time, and I questioned and thought there could be something, but I didn't really go after my faith, so to speak, I guess. And I've prayed in my life before, and it seems things had come true or happened or whatever, however you put that. But my wife had surgery, and we were hoping for a good result. And the next time we went in for a checkup again, there was something that had come back pretty quickly. So the church we went to is a church she went to as a child, and I asked her if she wanted to start going again because I thought the prayer would help. And we went that Wednesday night, which was the day we talked, and things have just gone really well, and they're very welcoming and loving as compared to my original experiences in church. We're very distant and cold and uncaring, so it was a lot better experience. And I just also wanted to clarify at the beginning, I'm now an ex-member of Mushroomhead.
Yes, I'm sorry, ex-member. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was my fault.
That's all right.
So was it hard for you? How did you how did the testimony come about? Like you getting on stage like that? And was it hard to do? Well, obviously it was hard. You choked up and stuff, but how did that come about?
We're in pretty good friendships with the other people that do Raising Hope on Sunday nights. It's to help people with addiction problems or just things going on in their life that are tough to handle by themselves alone. And they all speak every so often, and they asked if we would, and we said, yeah, why not? And it was something when I first went there, I tried to lay back and just be incognito a little bit, and it kind of built up to that, and it felt really good to do it. It was a little tough to get it all out all at once, and I had to stop a few times, but it did feel good to get it off my chest. And I've made some new friendships in the process, and we're going to do some gospel music together and stuff with one of the guys. So that's really cool how things have gone.
I'll say this real quick, because I watched this sermon. Again, I'm a big fan of anything you do, back to the Hatrix days. I just want to reiterate, and I told you this before in private, that Norma Jean, shush up, my kitty. Jeez Louise, I'm doing an interview. Anyways, I had heard, you saying that it was hard for you for you to do Mushroomhead shows because you thought you had let your fans down, because you were just doing the same thing over and over and over again or whatever. I just want to reiterate to you, man, you never let your fans down. So don't ever think that. Don't ever, and I mean that.
I appreciate it.
Yep. It's not, and I speak for a lot of other people when I say that. So, with Jeffrey Nothing. Well, okay, actually, no, you know what? I'd like to dive into this real quick. I want you to explain a little bit about Mushroomhead and how and how that came about, like you leaving, how that departure happened, because it's kind of a gray area with a lot of people, including myself. I mean, I've read about it and stuff, but I want it from your words, your own words. You can, make it quick, short, whatever.
Yeah. Being a co-founder, it to me, I felt like I was working with friends, and it became clearer as time went on that only one person was really respected in his opinions, and it just got really dark. It started as a friendship, and everything had to be absolutely perfect, and no music is really meant to be 100% perfect. Rock is supposed to swing a little bit, and it was like everything was put under a microscope, and no matter how good you did on a record, if you had the slightest off performance, you were lambasted, or whichever the term should be. And just my family ended up getting disrespected as time went on, and people that joined the band later on and didn't really do anywhere near as much became a voice over me, and it just got really ridiculous in my opinion. And until I watched how Tommy Church was treated, I really just was numb to it. And then when I watched him being emotionally abused, and the fact that he had at one point in his life been an alcoholic or a drunk or whatever, he was pretty clean and doing well by the time we both left, and that pushed me over the edge, and that's why I left.
I've interviewed Dave Felton Gravy, and he's had it's very to me it's surreal. Your stories are very similar, and I know you had a hand in also, with the issues that you have, with yourselves or whatever it may be. But it seems seems to be the reoccurring with even Waylon. It seems to be this reoccurring theme, and I won't mention names. If you want to, that's fine. I just don't. It's not my place to. That person just could be. It's almost sickening. Because you're a founding member. I mean, you're. It's just mind blowing to think that something that you created, right, and had a vision of, that just got kind of taken away, and how you were silenced, and because I know myself, and I'm a diehard. I have the Mushroomhead tattoo on my shoulder when I was 15. I'm 34 now. I never knew any of that. These are things that fans just don't know, and props to you for sticking it out for as long as you did. I mean, thank you for sticking it out for as long as you did. But that's moving forward. Brighter, bigger days. Jeffrey Nothing, the newer songs like Paint the Whole Dream. Paint the Whole Dream Evil. Is that? Yes, that track. And the other one, which I'm blanking, that you have a music video for. I heard both of those, and that's when I'd reached out to you about the interview, and I'd made a comment on one of the videos, a real long one, about how this sound. And I noticed that the drummer is a drummer from the Browning.
Yeah.
Okay, they're very well known band, amongst my agency and stuff. I played with them a couple times, and I could hear a difference, like even in the guitar work and anything you've ever done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where I've always wanted to see Jeffrey in this style of music, and not just that, but it's like, to me, it's and you may think in your older age, oh well, this is just a hobby, or this is just something I'm past that. But I really truly think that you found your niche with this, and to be able to reach as many people as you want, and that you can, to make a difference. Because we had talked about, Jeffrey Nothing is essentially a Christian band. So, like, with that said, how did it come about to this new sound of metalcore, I guess is what we would dub it as? How did that come about? Like, I know Church is the guitarist, but how did you bring these guys together? How did Jeffrey Nothing form?
Tommy and I talked about making music on the side while we were still in Mushroomhead, and we were already starting to do Doom Candy back then, and it's really a thing that's crazy too. In that moment, I was supposed to sign a non-disclosure and a no-compete, and
wow.
And go along with this plan where I was gonna do select shows and act like everything was fine. And I was told basically I wasn't able to ever jam again with a current or former Mushroomhead member, and I basically said that someone was out of their mind, and I didn't sign anything, and I never even went back downstairs because I used to live above our studio, and it was all in limbo for a second, and then my nephew had passed away by a murder suicide, and no one from the band other than his former neighbor, who was Steve Rockhorst, came to the wake. And they used to make this big production about going to fans' wakes and also paying for their service or their funeral or whatever they would do. And then some people that are supposed to be my family don't even come to my nephew's. But I didn't sign any of those papers, and I never would have. And it was ludicrous for him to suggest such a thing. And then before I left, I had the chance to work with Ian Czizak on a song he was doing for his own band called My Beautiful Suicide. And
he's a screamer, right?
Yeah, and it just went so well. And then I connected him with Tommy, and they worked on his stuff together. And it just made all sense in the world to have him be a part of our band. And he's read the Bible 3 times and been a missionary and gone to Bible school 3 times. And he was very happy when I found my faith, to say the least. And Noah was a fan, and it was suggested to him by someone to see if he could be in our band, and I was more than happy to say yes. And bass player is currently Stephen Lee Adams. He's the session and touring bassist and a friend of Tommy's since they were like 15. And it just all fell into place more or less. And it's my favorite project that I've ever worked with. Everybody's on the same page, from the same place in their heart and soul and everything, instead of struggling with chemistry being an issue and tyranny being a real thing.
You can hear it. You can hear it in the music, and I suggest, and I'll put links to the music, and I'll also be playing this Friday on my radio show. I'll be playing a couple of your tracks. I think you can hear everything was aforementioned. You can hear that, and you hear in your voice too that you've always had this distinct, eerie. I can't describe it because it's undescribable. It's very unique. It's one of a kind voice, but now it's even more, and it's almost like you have more vocal freedom. I know you come from like the 80s hair metal, I guess is what you would dub it, with like Hatrix and that, you can belt out. You've always been a belter, things of that sort. But with this, it's emotional, it's personal, it's there's, for lack of a better term, this band has a purpose, it seems, as opposed to, as you said, it formed organically. It's not something that you forced. And I think that speaks volumes to the sound. And when more and more people get hit, what they already are, I mean, you're getting close to 100,000 on the one song. I think it's up to close to 70,000. And I mean, that's without any type of major promotion or any promotion really, for that matter, aside from yourself or them sharing it, media, attention. So like moving forward with Jeffrey Nothing, the band, mm-hmm. What are you going to do? What's your goals? Are you guys writing a full length EP? Are you planning on, maybe gigging out? You have a gig that you're going to start, like present the band at, or how what's your plans?
As far as gigging, I would think 2022 at the earliest. We're actually in the mode of releasing singles at the moment. We have enough easily to do a double album and not have any filler at all. And
wow,
it's we did a writing session in my living room over a week, and we did 6 brand new songs in that time, plus 2 we had worked on a little bit, and we're planning to do another week in my living room, unless we can find a space that isn't trying to rob us blind to be able to make an album together in one room. But the sky.
I think after this, not to interrupt you, I think after this you'll find one. Go ahead. Sorry.
That would be nice. Really, the sky's the limit. And even the last couple of records, I was told to either use my Chris Cornell voice or my low voice, and when and where I got to sing. And really, moments that I had, like Sun Doesn't Rise later on, never even would have happened, because I wasn't even allowed to be that voice anymore. It was like there was so many
Right.
so many ridiculous things going on. Like Tommy was going to play when he was told and what he was told, and it's like, but there was a time clock at our jam room, and music does not happen on a schedule. Music comes to you at 5 a.m. when you jump up to write a lyric down. It's not. It's art. It's not. Let's manufacture this right now.
Right.
It's just the mindsets were so off, and they still are, in my opinion. And I'm happy that there's people that are still fans of Mushroom.
Hey, have you ever listened to your favorite album and thought, why doesn't my band sound this fucking crushing? Or maybe you want to record somewhere that you can be captured at your peak abilities. I'm Brandon, and I run Folsom Audio. Whether you need music taken from the ground up, or you just want to record through analog gear, Folsom Audio's your answer. Specializing in rap, hard rock, metal, as well as vocal production, and with 11 years mixing experience, your music will always sound the way it was meant to. Check us out at folsomaudio.com.
I just myself can't listen to it anymore. And
same here. I mean, same here. You know, and I've talked about it before.
I understand, but it's like, to me, it's robbery. It had this amazing origin of what we were going to be and what we were going to do, and power corrupts is all I can really say.
Yeah, you know, I can't listen much. I can't stomach it. There's one song off the new CD. The new vocalist. I don't know his name. I will say this. I don't know if you've heard this song. I can't even think of the name of it. I'll tell you this though. If you close your eyes and you look the other way, he does such a good job at covering your voice per se, yeah. Right? And of course, it's not like, but you know, if you haven't listened to it, I would give it a listen. Just even his parts. It's just him and J-Man vocalists in that track. It's, you know, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, you know, and I was like, I'll give it a couple other tries, you know, because of course I didn't know any of these things that were going on, you know, internally until, you know, Dave and then now you talking with you. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you're exactly right. It's a literal, and I'll say this, and I don't care, I'll get flack. It is a manufactured piece of garbage. It's forced. It's not Mushroomhead at all, you know, and you can see the comments on Jeffrey Nothing, you know, your new stuff. Yeah. This is the real Mushroomhead. And does that bother you when people say that? Like, well, this is the real Mushroomhead.
It doesn't bother me as much as when people have to jump to that band's defense. Like, how can you even say that, basically? And, and there have been ridiculous comments that I've erased, but for the most part, I'm letting people say what they have to say. But there's just certain things that you can tell are from that camp. And the craziest thing, I love Sea Rockers. He was my nephew's neighbor, and I lived there for a moment when he was like 2.5 feet tall. And I basically suggested him because I wanted to speed my exit. But he was in a band called the J-Man Band when neither of them were in Mushroomhead. And their slogan was "Fuck MRH." And excuse my French if that's bad, but
no, you can swear as much as you want.
And the whole thing was for him to sound like me. That's what they were really looking for. And as far back as M3, they were trying to replace me, but the guy they were talking to then couldn't sing the main hook of Solitaire Unraveling, so that went on the back burner for a while. He actually sang on the record, and it was just like different agendas than what it started as forever. And
well, you're irreplaceable, you know, not to just, you know, kiss your ass, you know, you are. I mean, you can imitate, but you cannot, you know, recreate. And, you know, and I think that, you know, like you were talking about Sun Doesn't Rise. I mean, not at that time, and correct me if I'm wrong, arguably that's kind of, that song, wasn't it? It was on, was it the Saw soundtrack? Or was it
Freddy versus Jason?
Freddy versus Jason. Yes. That was like a ballad, you know, that hook right there is just, you know, it's, I mean, anyone, even if they're not a fan of that type of music, you know, that would pull them in, you know, it's beautiful. You know, so, you know, your voice is just, it's irreplaceable. And to the J-Man, to speak on him, you know, he was always a big influence on me too. I've always really looked up to him. You know, I can remember playing shows at Peabody's when he was a bartender because he wasn't in, you know, Mushroom at the time. And to see him back there, when he first joined back, I was like, this is awesome,
Yeah.
And it's so like with, with all that happened, because it's quite obvious that, you're hurt by it. And of course you are. Like, have you ever tried to reach out and talk to them about it, or do you have any interest? Well, you probably don't have any interest at all to do that. But like, have you ever thought about like, how can you as an artist or as a person, obviously you can never get over it, but and like me bringing shit up and stuff doesn't help exactly, but have you ever even talked? You've never talked this candidly though about it before, have you?
I mean, I have a little bit on another podcast. I kind of just, for the most part, try to let it go. The day I quit, I blocked all the members and I left all the groups because there was nothing really else to say. I had to get away for a while.
Right. That's your baby, It's
Yeah,
your creation, it's your baby. That's hard,
yeah. But for the longest time, as people were leaving or being fired or whatever, the guy I thought was my best friend at one point would say, "You're the only one that can't be replaced," and then the management and the agents would say it, and then the power quest was so intense that was the last thing he had to prove to himself, that he could he could do it without me, and he so wants to have it become huge on his watch and no one else's, and it's just all sad.
Well, I'll say this, and people know who we're talking about anyway, so it doesn't much matter. He kicked out his own brother by email. I mean, that in and of itself right there just tells you what kind of fucking piece of shit he is, and he is,
Yeah.
And I've heard that all along. I've heard how big of a piece of shit he was all along,
Yeah.
How did he get control like that? How did this happen? Like, how did it happen to where it became a dictatorship?
I thought I was working with like I said at the beginning, I hired him to be my Hatred drum when he was 19. When I was 29, we were kind of inseparable at the time. I thought I was working with a really good friend, if not my best friend. And I concentrated on the music part, and he dove entirely into the business and how to take. And I was trying to give. And there would be like these little funny things, like I'd be in the room tracking, and he'd bring a fire extinguisher out because I was on fire, and just as I was working on the product, I'm a good guy, but as soon as it's handed in, I'm garbage. And that's the way it happened with every record after a while. Like, I didn't report into somebody who I was writing in the Hatrix days, but by the time later in Mushroomhead, he had to approve everything. I did a really great song when he just happened to not be there the one night, and I asked him what he thought of it the next morning. He's like, "It's okay," and it wasn't even on the record. And a lot of people thought it was an amazing song. And who the hell is that dude to decide he knows everything? Because I'm sorry, Mushroomhead has done decent. To act like they're gigantic is a joke. I mean,
on the business side of things, excuse me for interrupting. That it's funny. I said this to Dave. To me, that was the biggest fuck up in Mushroom. I was like, I never understood. Listen, and back to the Backstreet Boys of metal, Slipknot. Like that could have been even bigger. Because first of all, you're way before them. Number one, but number two, I was like, I don't understand why the hell. I noticed tours would never go past like Texas at the farthest. The way it was marketed, just everything about it business wise seemed real fucky to me, because I'm an entrepreneur. I run the business side of my bands, right?
Yeah.
And it's very snaky of him. And of course he was nice to you, recording and stuff, because he knows that you're you're irreplaceable, right? And he's since then tried to replace it with a pseudo Jeffrey and a woman to replace that. And I told you privately, they're on napalm or whatever. Depending on what kind of deal that is, man, I mean, they're not going to tolerate that. So it's kind of interesting, because now I would have to say they're more popular on a mainstream level than they ever have been as far as media plays go. I'm not talking playing shows, nothing like that. Like, they're not even playing the Halloween show this year, I don't believe.
No.
Which is the first year in 20, I mean, basically since your inception. And like, it's, I don't even know where I'm going with it. What I am going with is, you know, to the people that think of him as something else, just please know that, and this isn't shit talking by either I or Jeffrey. This is a firsthand account of what kind of person he is, and I, you know, I don't encourage anybody to stop supporting anyone or whatever, but you know, really, you know, reconsider, you know, and get all the sides, you know. You know, David said you guys had to sign an NDA or something to where you guys were not allowed to do interviews while in Mushroomhead about anything Mushroomhead. You could do a vocal interview or whatever, but it could not pertain to Mushroomhead. First of all, is that true?
I didn't sign anything of the sort, really.
A gag order. That's what he said. It was like a gag order.
I mean, he probably wanted something like that. Like I said, he wanted a non-disclosure at the end, which I refused to sign when I was quitting. I believe when they were still doing anything at all, the only two that did interviews were his girlfriend and him, and she was never even a fan and only wanted to be a part of it once she saw the numbers we did. And
right.
And the real fact is, we were on Universal and they put out a compilation of our first 3 releases, and when they finally got the record that we made with them, he turned down every idea they had for promo until they dropped us, because it's a lot tougher to steal with a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And
yes.
That's really where it went, and it was like a tug of war in my head and my heart for a long time, because I stayed for the fans, but I actually wrote my resignation in one of my lyric books that I never turned in, and that was a long time ago, and I struggled with that for a while, and I'm glad I left, because freedom is everything, and artistic freedom is amazing, and no one should be a boss of a band, and I keep seeing it happening, like Fear Factory and other bands. I don't really want to get into a bunch of names, but
right, yeah, no, yeah.
It's like you're trying to make art, and you should be more or less a family, and ours was as dysfunctional as it got.
You know, I run an artist development and management company, and I Heart of Haven Entertainment, and it, you know, it's Heart of Haven for a reason. You know, my daughter's name's Haven, means safe place. You know, she's my heart. Yep. So I'm kind of known as like the safe place in the scene, you know, in this area, you know, Northeastern Ohio-ish. When I approach artists, I predominantly deal with hip hop right now. However, I did just recently start up a record label with a buddy of mine, Burn It All Records, which is metal, you know, music. But yeah. I always say this, you know, to these guys. With hip hop, it's different because usually it's one entity. Mm-hmm. But I always say, you know, I don't want any final decisions or anything like that, but please pass it by me before so. And I will always ensure that it is a democracy. There's some, obviously there needs to be a hierarchy. However, there needs to be a freedom, because see, I approach this as a business. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm an artist as well, but like coming from my standpoint, which, like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you've ever, like, you know, done that management side, maybe for Hatrix, but you know what I mean, on a level of, like, you know, a business.
Yeah.
I have to approach it like that. However, there's also a professionalism that comes about it, and just what would you say, a sense of dignity, yeah. and just being a good person overall.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, and that right there speaks why Mushroomhead is who they are and why they'll always be what they are, and that's you know, essentially a regional band from Northeastern Ohio. You know, unless, you know, that changes, which I said, being on a bigger label like that, I mean, I don't know. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because why aren't they playing shows? What's going on here? I know me as a business, if I'm getting those types of numbers on, you know, release an album and getting those types of numbers on social media, I'm going to be booking some shows, number one. So, yeah. You know, it's interesting to see what's going to happen with them. But, you know, it'll be, if any type of success comes from that, it's how do I want to word it? It's a facade, you know, it's fake success. So, you know, yeah. But with Jeffrey, nothing, you know, because, you know, I know, like, it's hard. I don't want to dwell on the past. I know neither do you, but it's hard, because we bring up things, and everything that we bring up will always stem back to that in one way or another. It's always, but with Jeffrey Nothing, right? This new project.
Mhm.
Is there any sort of like, not like competitive spirit towards them, like to kind of like, look, guys, this is what kind of like the one that got away? Is there any of that, like, hey guys, does that motivate you at all? Is that a motivating factor to like, in any essence to you?
I mean, I have a gigantic chip on my shoulder, but it's more
Damn.
that after the fact of being out of the band, they really try to still harm you. They try to blacklist you. They reach out
Oh,
to
no shit.
They reach out to clubs and promoters and former touring mates, telling them to pick a side. And as far as the band, there's a lot of COVID back and forth in that band. Like, the new singer didn't really want to tour because of it. And there came a time when she actually left since last October, and I think Tommy Schaffner left too. And supposedly they wrote nice letters and got their gig back. But I also heard that she's actually signed to Napalm separately
Right.
with them. And
Right.
they were told to tour or you're dropped, is what I'm hearing lately.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? These record labels don't fuck around. You know that. You were on
Yeah.
Universal. You're very familiar with that.
Mhm.
With Ozfest 2002, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. You'll see why. You
Yep.
were on Universal at that time, right?
Yeah, and we got half the tour each with Flaw.
Right. That, see, that's what a label does for you. And that's what you should have been doing, because in 2 to 3 years, y'all would have been headlining Ozfest.
Mhm.
So like I said, it'll be interesting to see, because, I know when a bigger label or even any label, whatever, reaches out and signs you, each member is therefore signed under contract to meet certain stipulations, whatever it may be. And some members are even then so forth, like singers specifically, because you and I both know, we're both vocalists. This isn't us being big-headed or arrogant. Singers cannot, it's very hard to replace singers, right?
Mhm.
Like, guitarists are a diamond, and nobody takes this the wrong way. Guitarists are a dime a dozen. Drummers, not so much, but they're still, but with vocalists, with Universal, was it ever discussed with you to, like, with an exclusive contract, they'd approach you afterwards and say, hey, Jeff?
I think that was the earliest times, or maybe even a clip before it, that he really tried to make it to where none of these people spoke to anyone but him.
Got you. Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes. So any Mushroomhead fan out there wondering why, Mushroomhead's in essence considered underground and shit like that. Well, there you go. I mean, it's if you want to start a band or something out there, man, make sure that you do it the right way. Don't ever try to be, power hungry and control. No matter how much success you may have or whatever, it'll all, at the end of the day, in the order you get, and you can attest this, how you were born in 63.
Actually 1960, Wikipedia has it wrong.
1960. Wait a minute. So how old are you?
I'm 61.
Just get the fuck out of here, Jeffrey.
I can't.
Dude. Dude, first of all, you don't look that at all. You've aged very, very gracefully, number one. Number two, if you haven't heard about Anchor, let me give you a little rundown. It's free, number one. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone, and I'm not going to lie, that's exactly what I do. They also distribute your podcast to every major platform. And not only that, you can make money from your podcast with you don't have to have any listenership. Right when you start, you can make money. It's everything you need, literally, to make a podcast in one place. Download the Anchor app for free or go to anchor.fm to get started. Your voice, I mean, dude, to me personally, it's the best ever sound. Holy 60. Listen to you, Grandpa. Holy shit.
Don't wish that on me yet.
Holy 60 fucking one. Holy shit, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
To think. So like, like I said, I have no scripted interviews. They're all over the fucking place.
What's funny is, like, the main burn I'll get from, like, their part of the fan base is about my age, but the funny thing is it happens to everyone.
Right. well, it speaks volumes. Had you been in control, let's just switch roles with you and the you know the pseudo Hitler of Mushroomhead. Let's switch you two, right? And you
Yep.
are the leader, right? And you learned all that shit. Well,
Yep.
it shows maturity too. Age does, right? I'm 34, man, and I started a new band,
Yep.
and it's been like a handpicked band, but the maturity that comes with it is just an experience too. It's something you can't learn, and I think that I think that'll go ahead.
Yeah, and the fact in that sense is I have a great drummer now.
Oh, amazing, phenomenal, one of the best in the scene.
My old drummer played half the set, played about 4 beats, and as time went on, he got worse and worse, and that's just a fact.
Well, you can hear it and know it. Like, you can hear the double bass. Like I said, I'm not used to this. Is hearing you with this, like a djent metalcore. Yeah, that's exactly what I would describe it as. Which djent, if it's a newer like subgenre. It's usually like drop E or drop D. A lot of breakdown, open note type stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I heard it, that I think I even made it in a comment on YouTube, like, those drums, man, they're just out of, the ghost notes, the fills, it's on another level, right? It's like you leveled up, you know what I mean? As far as drummers go, and I mean, the Browning in and of themselves, they were a force to be reckoned with. I don't know what they're doing now, but I do believe he was responsible for the electronics in that too, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, he was on the first record. I don't know how many they made.
I think 2.
He's most recently in Motor Grader, and he has 2 bands now that he's doing besides mine.
So does he do the electronics in your band, like like the beginning of
a lot of that's Tommy.
Tommy, okay, well, the hell, Tommy, keep it up. More, I need more.
Yeah.
With that said, like, and this is no knock to your former members, and I hope they don't take it this way, because they're all talented in their own sense, even the douchebags. Do you feel that you've leveled up, for lack of a better term, in musicianship with the people you have surrounding you?
I feel like I'm in the best place I've ever been, and I feel like I remember some of those songs we did on the first Nothing record were Ryan Farrell's songs for like 15 years, and he would say that the only thing he was disappointed in were the drums. And then once he became a member of Mushroom, and of course he wasn't allowed to say things like that anymore because he had to play along with the game.
That's, I mean, like, back to the guitar work, which Tommy, do you just have one guitarist?
Yeah, I mean, he
dubs it when he recorded. I get all that, there's, yeah.
But he can play anything, and he reminds me of rest in peace, JJ Righteous. He was just all over the map style wise, and remind me of like Dave Navarro, and then Tom.
Well, he's got to be your age, close to your age, right?
He's about 10 years younger, but
okay, still, yeah. Like, and for him to be that in tune with what is popular now, whether he knows it or not, is just.
Well, Tommy's like 40-ish. He's a lot younger. JJ was closer to my age.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, either way, I mean, think about it. You know how the scenes go, man. They're a young man's game, right?
Yeah.
That's the consumer. Well, your product.
Tommy definitely has his hands on the pulse, where people in my old band thought they did, and they were just throwing up the me flag as much as possible instead of it really being the case.
What I've noticed is the beginning of the two, the 2 tracks specifically, Paint the Whole Dream Evil, and I don't know why I keep on slipping on the name.
There's like 3 newer ones: Paint the Whole Dream Evil, The Outage, and
The Outage. That's it. The beginning of the song grabs you instantly. It grabs you instantly, and you've got to listen to it. And that is that's huge. With kids, even me, ADD. We our attention spans, man. 5 seconds, you got us. If you don't got us, and then so. Props to you, Tommy, for not saying you're responsible for all the songwriting or whatever, but
I mean, he is a great gift. I don't know if I'd have this great of songs if I was working with other people. Tommy just really knows what's up, and
it speaks about how much he was held back too. like,
Yeah.
because I mean, to be fair, and again, not to knock on anyone in Mushroomhead, it was very elementary. The music was
Yeah.
very, just it wasn't. It was very. I don't want to say simple, but there was, you know what I mean. There wasn't.
So,
For instance, some of the drum fills you hear, right, or some of
yeah.
the harmonics that you hear now, or just the chords that are played. It was very cut and dry how things were going to go. With this, it's just such a surprise. And now I'll say this, Ian, he appears, a little bit in the songs. Do you intend on moving forward, adding more screaming, or are you going to kind of just let it flow and see how it works?
There's like I said, there's 2 albums, and then we're always writing, and there's a lot that he's way more upfront than me. It's all over the map, really. It's a
Well, you and him are like
who
2 peas in a pod.
yeah, we're brothers. It's what I always wanted with the other band. It was always like a competition kind of thing more, though.
Yeah. 2 lead men would definitely. I was in a band like that, and it ends up being that way. But like
Yeah,
you
but
two, Ian can sing too. There's parts where that
yeah,
it's
and
almost like
we're 2 lead men, even though the band's called Jeffrey Nothing. I give props to Ian completely. He's got great songs.
well, right. It's band like Norma Jean. I mean, hey,
Yeah,
it's the name. I
yeah,
think you're very smart by going with Jeffrey Nothing because it's like a phoenix. This is like rise from the ashes, per
yeah,
se. And I think to you, it'll be with that name. First of all, it's already marketing wise. Me running the company I do, and I've already talked to you about this. I
yeah.
see that, and I'm like, okay, I can market that in and of itself. Number one, but number two, it's a motivating factor, and it has substance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody will forever know you as Jeffrey Nothing. That's just
Yeah.
what it is. My name on MySpace used to be James Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's always going to be your moniker.
That's cool.
So I think that that was very smart to do that. Did you have discussions about making a different name?
I mean, I just always liked the name Doom Candy, and we did a few songs as that, but I put them up recently under Jeffrey Nothing so they could get a little more exposure. But I'll probably use that name down the road for something else again. But there was no reason not to use Jeffrey Nothing.
Right. Well, and always remember, man, like like with Doom Candy, those tracks. Hey, when you book when you book your upcoming tours and shows like that, hey, the opening gig, the opening band,
Yeah.
3 or 4 tracks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you got to throw it away.
Yeah, we have like within ourselves probably 8 bands.
There you go. Shit, you're my dream. Then you're a tour manager's dream.
Yeah.
Dream. It's Jesus. That would be. Oh God, that'd be nice.
Yep.
So are you going to do a split? Like, have you decided what you want to do yet?
I mean, the plan really is to be our own tour once we get there.
I mean, record wise, like, do you plan on? I know you're releasing singles, and I know I asked this before, but
yeah,
is there a plan? Like, hey, let's do an album or let's do a split, or is that still like something that you're just not sure of?
I plan to keep current, and the ADD thing is a factor, and just getting music out as much as possible.
That's a good idea.
We would already have a new song out, but logistics don't allow to having done another video right away. So we're gonna go with a better done. No offense to anybody else, but a better done lyric video for the next one, and then try to do another couple theatrical or performance ones after that.
Well, and hey, man.
But the thing is, we are going to do shows and a full release when those can coincide, because it's more about having product when you're out there doing it live.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not sitting here telling you what to do. You're 61 years old, man. You don't need to hear me tell you this. But hey, hit me up ahead of time, man. Get yourself a marketing campaign, some interviews set up for that next track, because that next track, 100,000. Then you do it again. The next one's 300,000, and it's just lack of exposure, Jeff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's my one big drawback. I don't have the ability to touch on those couple million fans that everything they put out and it instantly sees, and that's the shame and the crime, because I worked 25 years within them, and I've been doing this 38 years. And to have my numbers taken from me as a fan base is ridiculous.
Well, hey, listen, it has been. I'm telling you, seriously. I posted the little promo flyer of this interview in a Mushroomhead group that I'm a part of. I think it has like 50 or 60,000 people, and let me tell you the excitement and all the heart reacts. And you got to remember that, Jeff. It comes back to, I didn't know about the whole blackballing and all that shit, but it goes back to that too, right? And it's just about getting you in front of those fans again, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's all it is. I mean, look, almost 70,000 plays and stuff on a track that hasn't even been out very long, a couple months. And again, it's just you uploading it to YouTube.
Yeah.
And look at, go read all those comments, man. Whenever you feel that way, just go read those comments. And first of all, you won't find a negative one, number one, and number two, you'll find out, oh, yeah, she's making music again.
Yeah.
I think you're hard on yourself. I think that you're a little too, and I'm the same way, man. But
it was this fuel to the fire on that bus. I call it a slave ship. I call my bunk my casket. I mean, I would go on my bunk to get away from the reality of life off that stage, and it should have never been like that. It should have been the friendship it started as, the substances that were going on, and just the power trip that happened, and the little group of peons that fueled it and continue to, is ridiculous. I could have a bunch of sounds recorded and push buttons and act like I'm king shit and be a hateful person to everyone, and that's not going to do anything for anybody. I'd rather pray for people and hope they have a good life and do well, instead of having a hate group that he really pushes on everything.
Right. Hey, we wouldn't be talking right now if it weren't for you, man. I mean that wholeheartedly. You can ask my mother, my wife, and my brother, anybody that's grew up with me. And I'm seriously, not to get you asking, I mean that. And I'm not the only guy that can say that. So you accomplished that goal.
I appreciate that.
Have you ever thought about writing a book about this?
Yeah, it's in my mind. It has been on the border of being in the works.
Hello? Jeff? I think I lost you. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I had to go to the other room where my power cord was. I'm sorry.
I hear you. No, you're good. You're good. Well, hey, listen, if it's about writing it, then listen, I ghostwrite. I'm writing 2 books right now.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I truly think that, first of all, I think it'd be really therapeutic for you, number one. But number two, I think that, I want to read it. I know that. And I think a lot of other people, and I think it'd be a lesson book too. Again, I'm not religious, but I think it would go pertain to you becoming you're agnostic. What, in your teens, you became agnostic, correct?
Yeah.
To all the way now, 61 years old, finding, not to harp on that again, old man, my bad, but to now refining him. And again, I'm not religious. Okay. I grew up with my father was a pastor, things of that sort. We won't get into that. It doesn't matter what I am, but to the people that are struggling with that and things of that, I think that your message goes much further than just music, man.
Yeah.
I want to thank McAlpine Meadery for sponsoring this episode of From the Stache podcast, located at 10035 Johnsford Road, Beach City, Ohio, 44608. Phone number 330-756-5019. Again, 330-756-5019. They take passion in brewing high-quality European-style artisan honey wine known as mead. It's available in 87 retail stores. It's also available in 36 different states to your front door. You can order online at www.mcalpinemead.com. Again, that's www.mcalpinemead.com. Hours of operation, Wednesday 4 to 10, Friday 4 to 12, Saturday 12 to 12, bands Fridays and Saturday nights. Thanks again to McAlpine Meadery for sponsoring this episode of From the Stache podcast. Now on to the show, folks.
I'm happy that it has, like, my testimony has 163,000 views, and if I help one person get to a better place, even if it's not faith per se, just having hope, that's what really matters. And,
well, even people that struggle, you're talking about your alcoholism and stuff. I mean, and it wasn't apparent if you know, you were so good live. You really truly were. So it's never apparent that, but you know, just to struggle with that in your mind, and I can't imagine knowing these things. I'm a very emotional overthinker guy. You know, you
Yeah.
talking about going to your bunk and stuff like that really resonated with me, and that's something I'm going to think about, like how hard that I can't imagine, you know, what that would have been like. And for you to come out and say, and I know that it was hard for you because you were always this guy on stage that was so mystique and mysterious and
Yeah.
quiet, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, for you to do that, you could tell it was tough. And you know, from bottom of my heart and everyone who's watched it, it's like, thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I always had a point of view of let the music do the talking. I think a lot of bands, like I remember seeing bands that just would go song to song to song and not really worry about being that profound. And funny, my band Purgatory, I was let go because they wanted a guy that was more of a front man. And it's like, I think getting those songs out there is the most important thing, and what fans really hold on to more than how much you could talk to them.
Well, you are a front man though, dude. Like seriously, and no joke, this is no disregard to J Man or anything like that, because he was a hell of a front man, you know. But just because you're not running around on stage going nuts that's not what makes you a front man, dude. You know, it's you know, you commanded a crowd without the demand, right? You didn't need to demand it. It was just a natural thing for you. I can remember, you know, you would sit there and you would shake your head back and forth like a dog, you know, slobbering, like slobber come out. Like it was. So for anyone who thinks that, or anyone who thought that, they're an idiot, man. And that's, you know, that's just fucking facts, dude.
Yeah. I think too much of anything is tired. Like everybody jumping around, banging their heads or whatever.
Well, and then the vocals don't sound good, right? They run out of breath, and with what you do, dude, there's no way. I mean, you know, I try to mock you in certain songs, you know, like Simpleton. I remember, you know, like beat like a dog, pissing all over, you know, shit on the road. I mean, the way you do the inflection on your voice and how you expand your vocal cords and stuff. I mean, you know, that takes a lot of talent and a lot of breath and a lot of effort that people just don't understand, you know.
That's cool. Yeah.
You sound like record, not to cut you off, you sound like you do on record live,
Thanks.
You know, which is a lot to say because a lot of other people don't, you know.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. It's just got like I said, the shows would get recorded and the slice thing off would be slams really hard, and I just lost the want to even go on stage anymore, and I would drink a third to a half a bottle of Jaeger to sedate enough to not have it bother me. But
Jeez.
when you're like being ripped down behind the scenes, you just aren't the same singer, and I feel like where I am now is such a great place to be.
So do you think, so through the lyrics, you know, you don't know peace till you've had suffering, is that a moniker to the situation you were in at the time?
Yeah, and the line before it is too, because a person I thought was my friend was already acting like he was some kind of king, and it goes back that far.
That's you know, I've lived by that line, you know. I told you before, you know, and the same with like separate the user from the whore.
Yeah.
You know, that's a line that's always resonated with me too.
Yeah.
With that line, separate the user from the whore, is that the same, you know, is that like same connotation? Was it in the light?
That was more like society, because there's like two parts of the problems going on in society. If there's not that demand, there's not that supply. It's like,
right,
there's somebody that's going to play each part, and if you get them separated, then us as a race, as a humanity, is going to be in a better place.
Okay, can I ask you what this lyric meant? Have you ever been inside of the new masterpiece? Like what was the, I've always wondered, you know, because your lyrics, you know, especially the beginning lyrics with you and J-Man, they were very, you know, like J-Man's one line, you know, I got Rembrandt as my right hand, Solo as my pilot. But back to the, you know, have you ever been inside? What was that? This is from my own curiosity. What was that in reference to?
There's a lot of people that, like, as you grow in popularity, like at the studio we tracked at one of the other bands that didn't get very far was like, why Mushroomhead? Like, how could they have made it? Look at them, whatever it was. There was just a lot of opinions on how in the world does this happen, and a lot of bashing even back then. And I thought of it as, had you not been in my shoes, how are you really talking about it? And that's what I meant about that.
Oh my God, it makes so much sense now. Before, to me, it was like, what the hell is he talking about? Now, it makes a lot more sense. You know, it's kind of like the rappers when they do the Genius. It's just like this YouTube channel. They'll explain their lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm very curious because I'm a lyric writer myself and poet and stuff. So I'm always curious to what you mean by some of the things that you say. Very, very. It's very deep. It's a lot deeper than I thought. I mean, there's so many layers to it. It's now with your new lyrics, is there like, since you have control over your fucking lyrics, like a lyricist should and a vocalist should, are these more, are these writings you've had? Are they new songs? Are they, and what does it pertain to? Is it about your faith? Is it about everything? Like,
it's more in the ballpark of everything. And the imagery is still very dark. I feel like
I love it.
The visual appeals to somebody's wanting to see something where I'm trying to say something behind that. Not so much big signs of God is the way, God. But just hope and a positive message inside of that creepiness. And it's like a matter of contention just in the church we go to. Like, there's people that are like, I'm not sure, I don't really see it, kind of thing. But you have to read deeper. Right.
Well, with your image, like I said, I love it. With that, excuse me, Jesus, you're going to pull in people like me. I mean, I hate to admit this, but before you went to church, I said, pray for me. And I couldn't believe I said that, but like, it's because it's relatable, Jeff. You're relatable, dude. You're real. You're not out there dressed up like some fucking angel, dude. You're dressed up like the fucking devil per se. And it's for lack of a better term, and it attracts people that are lost, hurt, addicted,
Yep. And that's what I'm trying to do, really. And my pastor even said, you're like a Trojan horse in hell. Going in there trying to get the people that are lost and help them find a road out. And I do have a group of people that are like bagging on it, like, this is bull crap, this isn't real, it can't be, or whatever. And it is real, and it doesn't really change how I'm saying things as much as what I'm saying.
Right. It's that's the problem with people, and again, don't take offense to this, but especially like boomers, right? For lack of a better term, there's this cookie cutter, live in a fucking box style of how everything has to be, right? And especially, with you've already broken that box, right? Because no matter what you think, you're like a father of the whole new metal genre, the Limp Bizkits, Linkin Park, Korn. I mean, you're one of the pioneers, if not the pioneer of that.
Thanks.
You've always been outside the box. Well, like with this, and I play with a lot of Christian bands, Devil Wears Prada, August Burns Red. They're heavy and stuff, but they're just dressed up like a typical, girl jeans shirt. With this, it's just so much more attractive and real, right, than how people are, as opposed to some fake. You're being yourself, man. Because I could tell, back to the wedding dress and devil mask. You've always been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've always been like, well, first of all, was that your idea to dress up in Mushroomhead, like to have costumes?
We had like 5 bands we came from. We didn't want to have people have what they thought of what they already knew. So we wanted to be people they had no way of knowing. Even a guy that was doing our merch had no idea I was a singer. Like, it was a conscious effort to be something completely new.
Wow, that's actually really smart. I always wondered, like, hey, was this? Well, by accident, you created a theatrical production. And that I think stems back to, even Slipknot now, and whether they say it or not, it doesn't matter. All that shit doesn't matter. Whether they want to admit or not, there is huge influence from you guys. I mean, name me another band that was doing what you guys were. There isn't any. You can't name me another band, up until them that really, shock rock per se, right? That shock value, and turn music into more. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's almost like you looked at it as a play, like a theatrical production. Like, hey, instead of just playing our show, and even with the later days when you guys have, I don't know if they still have the percussionists up front, with the water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, was that by design? I know that the costumes were, but is that your mindset too, with that many people in the band? And
I mean, there was always an effort to make it larger than life in a sense. The water drums, I felt like were cool. I feel like it almost became too much about them at a point.
It did. I don't like them. I won't like them. However, it does create a,
Yeah, it's just I felt like we should have moved on eventually and gone to another place. It's just,
was it to replace lack of membership or what? Like, why? I mean,
no,
because I always wondered, because you see people dropping like flies, right? Gravy, Pig Venus, you, Church, JJ, Schmatz. I mean, the list goes on and on. Stache. I mean, Jesus, the list goes on and on. It
was really just he wanted to make it happen with a skeleton crew, so it could all be because of him. And, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna probably have to go, and my battery.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's been an hour, man.
Thank you.
Well, let's leave it there, and I just want to thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll touch base, here in the future. I'd like to have you on my radio show here soon to just talk Jeffrey Nothing.
Yeah,
I
would love to do more for sure, and I wouldn't even cut you off if I wasn't leaving soon. And I got 4%, and I don't.
You're fine.
I don't even have my right charger right now, or to be probably 20% already.
Hey, listen.
But I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. Well, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to stick around for more interviews. I'm James Davis McAllister. This is from the Stache Podcast, and I'm out.